Hello, everybody. I pray that you are well. This woman whose story is told in Matthew, Mark, and Luke is where we're going. And her title normally is, in the scripture, The Woman with an Issue of Blood. We don't know her name, but we certainly know her circumstance. And Matthew tells us in chapter 9, verses 20 through 22 in the New Revised Standard Version. Then suddenly, a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years came up behind him and touched the fringe of his cloak. For she said to herself, "If I only touch his cloak, I will be made well." Jesus turned, and seeing her, he said, "Take heart, daughter. Your faith has made you well." And instantly the woman was made well. I suppose this woman has been bothering me so because she reminds me of me. Have you ever spoken something to yourself, something in the inner core, something in the recesses of your soul that you dared not say out loud? I'm talking about a scenario in which you found yourself with no one else who seemed to understand your plight. It may be that you didn't even present your plight to someone else. You just knew that you wouldn't be able to find anyone to agree with you. This story is told also in Mark 5 and Luke 8. Luke, the physician, tells us that this woman had spent all that she had on physicians and yet grew worse. She was still subject to her condition. 12 years, every area of her life affected. Levitical laws deemed her unclean, and therefore she was persona non grata. She was a person who was cast out. She was a person who had no community, kindnesses broken, kinships blunted. This was a woman who was out on her own, and she had this issue. She was subject to discussions and speculations and judgments. She had this issue. This thing that drained her of strength, that occupied her every waking thought. She had this issue. But still, she had something. Even though she was suffering and ostracized, even though she was pariah in her community, she still had something. Matthew says, she said to herself. I haven't forgotten where we are. We are in a series on the power of thoughts and words. She said to herself, "If I can just touch the hem of his garment." I ask again, have you ever spoken something to yourself that you dared not speak out loud? I'm there right now. Something on the inside of her just would not die. She affirmed herself. She decided to say it. She made herself steady. She strengthened herself with the power of her words, her own words, not what others were saying about her, her own words, the words that spoke possibility to herself. This woman had a board meeting with herself, and she had a meeting, and something made her convene this meeting. She may have heard that Jesus was coming. She may have been what Fannie Lou Hamer, the great civil rights activist, said. She may have been sick and tired of being sick and tired. Whatever the case is, she had an epiphany. The possibility came into view. The experience of the long hoped for, long prayed for, long waited for, long sought after thing was now within her reach, and she determined what she believed for. She determined that this thing would now be manifested. Mark would have said straightway. She could see it. Her path now collided with God's presence and God's power. What could be possible when what we say to ourselves aligns with God's will? What good could be done when the saying and the praying and the obeying and the paying attention and the staying on task all align with the plan? What could happen in our own lives if our words align with God's will? What action step will you take this week? I think mine will just be to focus on being consistent, aligning my self-talk with what God says about me, not with what others want from me, not with what others say about me, but what God says about me. I keep coming back to this point in these meditations. Speak life to yourself. I guess we could never hear that too much. So, beloved, be well, beautiful people. May your words be full of life. May your heart be full of joy. And even in these times when so many things are going on, may you continue to infuse your hearts and minds with faith by speaking to yourself in alignment with God's possibilities for us. Be well.